Good morning, gamers. Welcome back. So, we're back looking at some more homebrew stuff. And I'm looking through the D&D Beyond homebrew again. And I'm like, you know what? Let's go back and touch on some more monsters. I went and looked at the best ones and the worst ones and all that. And now I want to look at some favorites. Well, I shouldn't call them favorites. Well, I should. I am the AMDM Lee. This is my cup of coffee, and you're watching How You Want to Brew This. Perfect temperature. Easily drank, nice and warm. Not too hot, not too cold. So anyway, I have really two favorite monsters. I'm going to discuss one of them this week, and I will discuss the other one next week. They're both classics. But the one I'm going to discuss today, my favorite monster is a mimic. I love mimics. They can be, classic mimic chest. And then I had played some games, early games, where the DM had upgraded the mimic. They mimic castles and huts and things like that. And I was like, oh, that is just brilliant. Just the idea of this thing looks like something else, and then it tries to eat you. And so I went through today and was going through the mimics. And I was also, what brought this whole thing up, I was watching a Nerdarchy thing, and they were talking about an NPC mimic. I was like, oh, that is brilliant. A humanoid mimic that the party interacts with. Kind of an awakened type thing. Like, that is a brilliant idea. So I was looking on D&D Beyond, and I came across this one. So I'm going to cover this one first. And I'm probably going to introduce it to my party and see what happens. But it is... Let me get to the details page here. I think it's brilliant. So this is an armor mimic. It's a medium monstrosity shape changer, neutral alignment, armor class 13 unless it takes the form of half plate or full plate, which it gets 16 or 18. So basically, it's a mimic that mimics armor, but its shape shifting ability allows it to mimic clothes, common clothes, studded leather armor, half plate armor, or plate armor. And it's just brilliant. Basically, the mimic is like, okay, here, put me on. Haha, now you're in my mouth. And it can swallow right then and there. Adhesion form, so the mimic can absolve this at will. Damage transfer. When warned, the mimic only takes half the damage dealt to it round down. The creature takes the other half. It's got this false appearance, so while it's motionless, it looks like a normal suit of armor. It's automatic grapple, has advantage on the grapples, several mimicking things. And then it has the innate spellcasting ability, which is the warding bond. Which, the warding bond is that you cast a spell on someone, and whatever damage they take, they only take half of the damage, and the caster takes the other half. So it's good for a tank to have. It's a kind of a tanky type spell. But again, then they have their pseudopod, and they swallow and everything. What really is interesting is this variant here. The Mimic can be worn as a suit of armor and functions as whatever armor it polymorphs into. Regardless of what type it's polymorphed into, the Mimic does not have a strength score and does not incur the disadvantage on stealth checks. So now you have plate armor that does not have the disadvantage. Creature wearing the Mimic has total cover against its effects, outside the Mimic. Attacks made against the wearer are made against the Mimic instead. While acting as armor for another creature, the Mimic takes no actions of its own. It is no longer immune to the prone position. It additionally shares its adhesion and grappler traits with its wearer. This just dawned on me. This is a Venom suit. This is a symbiote. That is brilliant. Somebody is... Oh, I think my bad guy might have this. The Mimic's wearer can Dolphin Dom the Mimic as an action. The wearer can also command the Mimic to cast its innate spellcasting, requiring this. So all of that. Is immune to game effects that would damage or destroy the armor, such with acid, such as Black Pudding's pseudopod attack. Non-acid game effects would damage or destroy armor. Non-acid game effects that would damage or destroy armor deal 1d10 damage to the Mimic instead of lowering its AC. So certain creatures that would normally damage armor now just do damage. That would normally damage armor and lower AC now just do damage. While the Mimic has 10 hit points or less, if it loses damage transfer trait, all the wearer damage dealt to the Mimic in the Mimic's stead, and the wearer loses benefits provided by the Mimic. There's a lot of little things in here, but as long as the Mimic has 1 hit point, if the attack effect would reduce it to 0 while being worn, and its wearer has at least 1 hit point, the Mimic has at least 1 hit point. So there are some nifty little things in here, and that's a neat little spell. So all in all, this is a really cool thing to get your armor. Now it does state many armor Mimics are intelligent enough to realize that feeding in this manner is a sure way to discover. And instead, they prefer to offer formidable armored hides in service to adventurers or guards in exchange for regular food payments of food. So, what I would do in this situation is to mimic the Mimic. For every day that the Mimic is not fed, it loses an armor class point. That way, and once it reaches its base armor class, at that point it is so hungry that it will eat the player. It will attempt to eat the player. It's kind of like an intelligent... It's basically like magic armor, a cursed armor set in a way. It's really interesting. I really like the idea of it, and I'm definitely going to introduce it into my campaign for the Bridgewater Knights. Probably in the Curse of Strahd this week. Yep. Well, guys, that's all I've got for now. I just wanted to point out this Mimic here. Next week, I'm going to talk about my other favorite. Actually, it's probably my most favorite creature in D&D. I have a pet one right over here. If I can get him off. Now, this is my most favorite creature in Dungeons and Dragons. It is the owlbear. So next week we're going to talk about homebrew version of owlbears. Isn't that right? You're such a good little boy. Alright guys. If you like these videos, please click on the like button. If you think someone else would like them, please click on the share button. Every like is an inspiration, every share is an advantage, and every subscription is an experience point. Help me gain 300 experience points so I can get to 2nd level. And as always, the AMDM does hereby authorize you, the viewer, to gain 10 experience points for every video that you share. Just tell your DM the AMDM said so. That is all I have for now, so go forth and roll some dice.